Hi everyone, my name is SHUYUE. Today I'm gonna introduce Chapter 9, the Frankfurt School to you. This part is not very easy but very interesting, I think. I hope that you will get something new after listening. Now let's begin. My presentation this time will be divided into three parts. First is a brief introduction of the Frankfurt School. Next comes to some notable and famous theorists, and then the main part, some important concepts related to the Frankfurt School. The Frankfurt School, known the capital letter S, is a school of social theory and critical philosophy associated with the Institute for Social Research at the Goethe University Frankfurt, founded in the Weimar Republic. During the European interwar period, the Frankfurt School comprised intellectuals, academics, and political dissidents who were ill-fitted to the contemporary social-economic system of the 1930s. The Frankfurt School, known the lowercase s, is more like to be regarded as the Frankfurt School of Critical Theory. The Institution of Social Research is more like to be regarded as the Frankfurt School of Social Research. However, the Institute and the Frankfurt School should not be thought as one and the same. And neither should it be assumed that those associated with both bodies have similar academic backgrounds and interests. There are many famous scholars in the Frankfurt School, such as Max Horkheimer. He is a philosopher, sociologist, and social psychologist. Theodor Adorno, a philosopher, sociologist, and musicologist. Also, Herbert Marcuse and Leo Lowenthal. According to the content of the textbook, this time we will mainly focus on Horkheimer and Adorno's work. These are pictures of those two great people. The left one is Mr. Max Horkheimer, while the right one is Mr. Theodor Adorno. Now let's move on to the next part, important concepts. The Frankfurt School is famous for its critical theory. There are three main concepts related to it. One of the most famous ones is the cultural industry. But before we talk about this, we need to figure out these two first. The critique of positivism and enlightenment. What are their views on positivism? Critical theory holds that traditional theory turns the organic society as many fragmented quantitative propositions. Horkheimer emphasized the value of drawing on both qualitative and quantitative techniques, but insisted that empirical work should not be seen as a substitute for theoretical analysis, because concepts like society, culture, and class, indispensable to all inquiry, cannot be simply transcribed into empirical terms. Moreover, the mathematicalization of complex social phenomena is itself an excessive abstraction of rich experience, which is defined in an arbitrary and valuable framework. For example, why the criteria for assessing IQ are sensitive to geometry and numbers rather than to nature and the body. They regard individuals as the schools of the entire existing system, only pay attention to how but ignore the why. What is enlightenment? Or let's say, what enlightenment should be. The goal of it should be let people get rid of the immature state. However, critical theory argues that the Enlightenment actually acts as a mass perception. It's a social project that attempts to use science and reason as the only dimension of society. Oh, this is a precious photo of Horkheimer, Adorno, and Habermas. Now, finally, we move on to the culture industry part. What's the differences between mass culture and culture industry? In their opinion, the use of mass culture could be interpreted as culture emanating from the people implying an active role in their process, whereas what they wanted to gather across to their readers was that culture had actually been commodified. It was something that was bought and sold. The rationale for linking culture with industry was that it was considered to be more unambiguously gaming. Another point is, what is always not mentioned is that the basis on which technology is gaining power over society is the power of those whose economic position in society is the strongest. Technical rationality today is a rationality of domination. Let us now turn to the movie field. We think that the relentless unity of the culture industry bears witness to the emergent unity of politics. Sharp distinctions like those between A and B films, or between short stories published in magazines in different price segments, do not so much reflect real differences as assist in the classification, organization, and identification of consumers. The hierarchy of serial qualities provided to the public serves only to qualify it more completely. Everyone is a category of mass product manufactured for their type. Actually, when I was reading this part, I thought of today's big data and the phrases positioning based on it. For example, in the old movie plot, Adorno saw the repeated movements on the assembly line. Through the cultural industry, capitalism incorporates the leisure time of workers into the same mental state as in the factory. People passively accept the logic of capitalism as if it is the only natural way of life. In other words, the cultural industry has deepened the alienation of people. How does enlightenment become mass deception, and what in this context is meant by mass deception? The answer can be varied. Stevenson pointed out that the effectiveness of the cultural industry was not secured through a deception ideology, but by the removal from the consciousness of the masses of any alternative to capitalism. A further dimension of mass deception is provided by Peters, who describes mass culture as an organ of soft domination in which people are active agents in their own duping. When it comes to the advertisement field, they hold the opinion that the triumph of advertising in the culture industry is a compulsive imitation by consumers of cultural commodities, which at the same time they recognize as false. In addition, there are a few sentences and points said by those theorists I'd like to share with you. One is, films no longer need to be present themselves as art. The next is, they think this should not be attributed to the internal laws of technology itself, but to its function within the economy today. I think these two sentences can lead us to think more deeply and help us better understand their views. Then please allow me to leave a question for everyone. How do you think Horkheimer and Adorno would have viewed the BBC or ABC? The function of these two are more like a position of public service. Finally is a conclusion. In general, the Frankfurt School theory has many merits and meanings, but also some loopholes at the same time. Their advantages are, first, they turn the perspective from economy-based to superstructure, especially culture field. Then they provide a new voice to the academic community. On the other hand, some of their opinions are kind of lack of specific empirical research. Moreover, sometimes they seem like too pessimistic. They have said once that if the holy enlightenment earth is radiant with triumphant calamity. Now is the Q&A part. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. That's the end of my presentation. I want to share with you the sentence I saw in the book. As something to think with or against, not as a final vision of the world. Thanks for listening.